Welcome back to Bravo Breaking News with Kim and Lisa. This week, we've got allegations flying and lies being exposed as the Valley drama comes to a head in Maui. And last night, the Real Housewives of Orange County made quite the entrance with an explosive season premiere. Lisa, what did you think of the episode?
Oh my God, I was so happy the ladies were back. There is a lot to talk about. I'm a little surprised to see Katie again, but can't say that I miss Alexis.
Oh no, not one bit, not one bit. But we're going to be pulling double duty today. We're going to be doing the Valley and Orange County.
Yes, so I know I've been MIA for a couple weeks. Thank you for hanging in there, and thank you, Kim, for always, being there to keep everyone fed. But yeah, we're gonna discuss Kristen and Luke's engagement, Kristen and Janet's cruise meltdown. The receipts have already come out about Katie's involvement with the bloggers, and we got to talk about Tamara, of course. Like, does this mean we're on Team Tamara?
Oh gosh. I have a revelation about Tamara that I'm gonna tease right now, but I'll bring it up later in the episode. But can you believe that Tamara Judge is officially the longest running housewife? She's back, and not only is she back, she unblocked me from Instagram after everything that I said about her last season. So I guess she's ready for my takes this season. I'm not really sure what that means. But I don't think it's going to last very long. I think I'm going to be blocked once again pretty shortly here because we got a lot to discuss. But before we dive in, you guys know what to do. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any Bravo breaking news.
Okay, yeah, no, that's major news. All right, but let's start with the Valley. The Valley in Maui. So, Kristen and Luke get engaged. Luke planned the surprise and he pulled it off mainly because he only told Mia and Danny and Zach. And those three proved that they could keep a secret. Now, who couldn't keep a secret was Brittany. And Brittany was so hurt by the fact that she wasn't brought into this surprise. But then immediately it becomes very clear why she wasn't brought into the surprise because they said to everyone, okay, please don't tell anyone. Don't say anything. We haven't even told our families that we've gotten engaged yet. And what does Brittany do? She goes and tells Jax Taylor. Jax Taylor, who could not keep a secret to save his life. And so he, texts Kristen, congrats, like, oh, and then I saw in the actor show, he told her, oh, it's already online, like it's already everywhere. And it wasn't, but he, of course, his default is to lie. And he just said that because he didn't want to get Brittany in trouble or throw her under the bus. But then it sent Kristen into a spiral thinking, oh my God, everyone knows. And like, I didn't tell my family. Like, oh my God, it's just, Jax can be 1,000 miles away and yet still cause drama. And I guess,
This
you know what, that's a talent.
this is like really fishy to me. Like at this point, Jax and Brittany are not on good terms whatsoever. She says, her and Kristen have that conversation on the beach. She says that she was talking to Jax because it had to do with Cruz's school. Why and how would Kristen's engagement come up? That means they're like chit-chatting. Oh, how's the trip going?
Right.
Like it's like I didn't think that you were at that level with him, Miss Brittany. And why would you be telling him about this in the first place? Like she's like, oh gosh darn, back to my old ways, trusting Jax. Like, no, he was never trustworthy and should never have been trusted with this information. You've been with him for 10 years. You know this. If Kristen is one of your so-called best friends and you wish you would have been there for the engagement, why would you do the worst thing possible and go straight to the person that's going to literally tell everybody? Like, that's the worst thing you could do.
No, listen, I don't think that there was any like malicious intent behind it. I truly just think that she was probably like, oh, I'm so tired because last night, we were at a luau to celebrate Kristen and Luke got engaged and blah, blah, blah. And it was just like flew out of her mouth. I don't think she did it to intentionally hurt them. But yeah, and she knows she fucked up.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Brittany, to be honest, isn't being super likable this season. I do feel bad for what she's going through with Jax, but especially when the whole Janet stuff comes up and Kristen's like, look, like you stand up for Janet all the time, but you don't stand up for anybody else, even me, who you call your best friend. And Brittany's
Right.
like, well, Janet's never done anything bad to me. And it's like she's done bad things to literally every other single person you know, yet you continue to remain loyal to her. Like your other best friends, Zach and Kristen, despise her, do not get along with her. She's like, they have had their own issues. It's like, she's like, I just want to be friends with everybody. But like at a certain point, like that just doesn't fly. It just doesn't fly. I get it. She doesn't want to be in the middle. She doesn't want to have to choose. But I just feel like it's not fair at this point. What's your
Yeah,
take on that?
what is Janet offering to Brittany that is truly so phenomenal that like she can't just be like, oh, I don't really care if I'm like friends with her or not. Doesn't mean Brittany has to be mean to her, but like, why does she feel such a loyalty to Janet? I don't know. And
It's weird.
yeah. And so like Kristen brings up, how did Janet come into the group? And she says through Shayna. She says, yeah, as a fan. So, and this obviously we've talked about before, but it seems very clear that Janet sought out Sheena to become friends with her, to kind of become friends with the group and sort of infiltrate the Vanderpump Rules squad. And she did it. Like she managed to do it. So good on her. But, Christian's just pointing out like she has not been there for you like through everything like I have, like Zach has. And like, can you really trust her? On top of the fact that like she's done all this shit to us. So yeah, I don't really get it. Kristen's just like, Janet, she just sucks. And I'm like, yes, that part.
Yeah, she's a miserable human. She's literally a piece of cardboard. I think that's a great representation of her, honestly. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me because Janet has been absolutely horrible, and the fact that Brittany continues to have her back. I think that Janet, she came into this group as a fan. She ended up on the Vanderpump Rules spinoff, and she is aligning herself with who were the main characters of the show, right? Jackson, Brittany. Those are the people who the show were really centered around, other than Kristen. But she is aligning herself with them. And it's like has this like blind loyalty to Brittany and to Jax, but everybody else is like absolutely atrocious to her. It's just kind of weird how she's like become so much on their side no matter what. I don't think anybody is like having Jax's back as much as Janet and Jason. So it's just, I don't know. It's
Well,
giving calculated a bit.
it is strange because you would think that she would want to be on all their good sides so that they would keep her around and want her to be around. So I don't know why, like, it's not like Brittany and Kristen were feuding. So why wouldn't she also be on her best behavior around Kristen? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. And it all comes to a head on that cruise night. Like, we already think that Janet is a horrible person and a miserable human being, but this absolutely done. I am done with Janet forever after this cruise night.
Yeah. So, all right, let's back up a little. Let's back up and start with Luke's outfit.
That's a moose knuckle.
I had to bring it up. Those are the shortest shorts I've ever seen. Like, I'm sorry, no one except for like teenage cheerleader girls like need to wear shorts that short. And tight and white.
Well, and who was like, is this like a costume party? Like, who said in their confessional, like, were we supposed to dress up as sailors?
No, I mean, I think it was just he just wanted to and he said it's my engagement and I'll dress like a sailor if I want to. A teenage girl sailor. And yeah, stuff starts coming up. Anytime anyone's in a Sprinter van or on a boat, like shit's going to go down because there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. And so it kind of starts off with the whole Jenna thing and Michelle saying, like, I don't understand why you're bringing Jenna around all of a sudden. Like, that she has in the past hooked up with my boyfriend. And like, now all of a sudden she's at all these events. I didn't realize that was her, like, as the referee in their little sports day. But she was there. She was at that party and she's just kind of being brought into the fold. And Michelle's like, I know that you're doing this because she used to date Aaron. Um, and so that just kind of becomes a whole thing. Meanwhile, Janet knows that she needs to talk to Zach, and Zach just goes straight to Kristen. He says, Janet wants to talk to me. Can you come? And Kristen's like, yep, tag me in.
Loved
So
it.
something I love about Kristen is she is always down to get into it. Like she is never one to shy away from confrontation. And like we could all use a friend like that, right? That's just, if you ask them to come, they're going to come and they're going to stand up for you. And I love it.
I love it. But I feel like if literally, like Kristen, I don't think was going to ever talk to Janet. Like they had not spoken up until this point during the trip. I don't think they were like literally 2 feet away from each other on that boat. And if nobody had instigated it, I think that Kristen would have pretended like Janet wasn't even there, which I also admired.
Yeah. Oh, no, totally. She was full on fine, just being like, this person does not exist. And that is that. And it is awkward. Like, I think it would have, I don't know. Would it have been worse if Janet and Jason left the trip because then it would have been like this dramatic exit and they would have made it about them? Or is it worse that they stayed and then continued to like go to these activities?
Oh, it's worse that they stayed. It's worse that she's just digging her hole deeper and deeper, that girl. Like every episode that comes out is just worse and worse for her. So they should have just left, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Janet says, like, you brought up rumors about my husband. And Kristen says, like, I didn't accuse him of anything. I just repeated something. And P.S., we already hashed that out. When we talked at Brittany's shark party, you kind of laughed it off as if it were nothing. And so why is this now you're still going on about it and still pissed about it? And, she says, I did it because you were attacking Danny and Nia. And like, as long as you keep Danny and Nia's names out of your mouth, then I'm not going to do anything. And Janet says, well, I had to say something because Danny sexually assaulted Jasmine. And it's like immediate no.
Nope.
No, too far. Like no one, listen, we saw Danny talk to Jasmine and Melissa. We saw him apologize and heard that even before that apology was filmed, that he had apologized before that. He seemed genuine. Nowhere did Janet or Melissa ever use the words sexually assaulted. And so for Janet to then come in, who was not, even at the bar when it happened, she didn't see it happen, she didn't experience it herself, for her to name it like that, like, that's too far.
The way she thinks she's a lawyer because she's married to one.
Sorry, that is so stupid when people say
I'm sorry to use the legal term for what happened. You weren't there. You do not know what happened. So therefore, you cannot use any term, let alone a legal term, that does not even describe what happened. And the fact that you are not even the victim, you were not even a part of this situation. And this has already been settled between the people who were involved, which is not you. Yet you are the one that keep bringing it up. If I were Jasmine, I would have gone ballistic in this moment, because this is not about Janet. This is about Jasmine. And Jasmine hasn't brought it up in many episodes. I'm not even sure she's even the original one that brought it up in the first place. And if I were her, I wouldn't want it to be getting brought up by Janet.
Right.
So,
and it gets to that point where Jasmine and Melissa are like, stop bringing this up. Like,
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, it's like Janet at this point is attempting to ruin Danny's life, his reputation, his absolute everything. And I think that everybody on the cast is on the same page. Like what you're doing and saying is dangerous, and the only people who should be talking about this and already did are the people that involved.
Right.
At this point it's getting dangerous for Danny, and yes, what he did was completely inappropriate. I actually looked at this post by the Bravo docket, and
I
I know
read
that
that
you
one too.
well
Yeah.
yeah, where they outlined literally every single thing that sexual assault includes, and that you have to have sexual intent, and how this would play out in court, and how from the facts that we have, this doesn't really follow that. So
Well,
for her
and
to like
but it also
come at it
yeah,
from a legal perspective and not
yeah.
even be correct is just bad.
No, it's bad. And again, it would be a totally different story if Jasmine and Melissa said, I was assaulted. I was assaulted by this man. Okay. I believe women. And when a woman says that, like, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt instead of giving the man the benefit of the doubt. But Jasmine and Melissa never said that. They never implied that. It was like, yeah, he was inappropriate. I'm sorry. How many times have you gone out or been in a bar or club when, like, some random guy grabs your ass? Like, not that it's okay, but I would never like freaking call the police on them and be like, you just assaulted me. I mean, I just think it's a little, and let alone like they know Danny, right? Again, not saying it's okay. It's not okay. But I don't think it's worth like ruining his reputation over.
No, this person is lives a sad, desperate life and is grasping for straws to get camera time. She has nothing going on in her own life, so she is choosing to make her storyline about other people. And those are the type of people that do not belong on our shows. You need to come up with your own storylines and have an interesting enough life where we like watching you, not watching you talk shit about other people.
Yeah,
It's
or
gotten
just
to a point. And then
others down.
and then she has the audacity. Yes, audacity. Every time I say that, I get called out because obviously you are not real Bravo fans and don't know Ramona standing on the sidewalk yelling at Bethany, telling her that she has the audacity. So just a little side note there. But to bring up another time that Danny, I guess, made some fans feel uncomfortable by talking to them and then telling somebody that he had a thing for girls in short skirts when Jason is saying that he never heard him say that. What's going on with all of that?
I don't know. I don't know. And listen, who did the fans themselves say I feel uncomfortable? Like, or is someone just,
I don't know.
interpreting it that way?
Fans, if you are out there, please stand up. Like nobody if you were talking to Danny at a bar with a group of girls and you felt uncomfortable, please, we want to hear from you because I don't believe anything that is coming out of Janet's mouth at this point. And it's just seems to be this pile on with no real evidence backing it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do think Danny needs to reassess his relationship with alcohol because I think that he takes it a little too far. And that's when he gets himself into these situations. If he didn't drink as much, then he probably wouldn't have these scenarios where maybe the lines are a little blurred or he's a little too tipsy or a little too handsy or whatever. So, like, he needs to figure that out.
I
But
agree.
it's just, it's too much at this point.
I know, like literally the fact that we are defending a man who has been accused of not great things, okay, over a woman trying to out him says a lot. That says a lot about Janet's character because I don't think there would be many other situations where you and me would be sitting here doing that. But
No.
that says a lot about Janet and who she is.
Yeah. So anyway, any more thoughts on the Valley, this week's Valley? That was a lot. There was, a lot of drama. And I hate that she ended it with like good luck on forever to Luke about, regarding Kristen. I just think that was like such a bitchy comment.
Oh,
Um,
well, and you know that Jason was sitting there when Kristen came over and told him what Janet said and all of this stuff. He's like, "Oh, fuck."
yeah,
I'm the lawyer in this situation. My wife is throwing around legal jargon and I'm gonna get screwed. Like talk to me in 5 years when you're divorced. I am calling it right now. That man is not going to last with that woman. I think that right now they seem to be fairly on the same page, but the nastier that she gets, the more he's going to see her
yeah.
true colors. And
It's
I,
not a good look.
no, it's not a good look.
It's not very becoming. Anyway, so okay, why don't we transition over to your hometown, Kim, and talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County. They are back for season 19. Can you believe that?
I
I
can actually.
There's only a handful of television shows that have been on for 19 seasons. Like, that is very impressive.
Very impressive. I mean, the city that started it all, they're really, those women are why we are here today. Specifically Vicky Gunvalson, RIP. She's no longer on our screens, and boy, do I miss her. Um, because while this episode was amazing, again, it's kind of going into some dark territory. You know what I mean? Like, where's the fun? Where's the lightness? Where's the humor? Where's
Yeah,
the family bands? Like, so I do hope that we transition into a little bit of lightness this season. But it's starting out pretty dark.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
So we kind of get the first like real scene is Shannon and Katie. They're going to pick out a new car at BMW. Shannon reveals that she did finally settle the lawsuit with John Jansen for $60,000. And she says, enjoy that wedding that I paid for. Like, literally. I, the fact that John and Alexis just have zero shame in taking that woman's money is just, it blows my mind.
It's crazy. Like, I literally like never want to speak their names again. I really
No.
hope that they aren't like a storyline at all this season. Like, while I did say
In the flashback, oh, sorry. Did they show him or was that the end of the reunion from I watched like the end of the reunion and it went to like 2 months later and then they talked about John Jansen again. They showed his face and I was like, ah,
yeah, jump scare, right? Like, I never want to see those individuals ever again. Like, I know I just said that this season is starting off dark, but there is a lightness without Alexis Bellino. My God. Ugh.
okay. So we find out that Katie is in the hot seat because we're going to bring up this whole uh, thing about Katie's daughter babysitting Emily's sons and coming back and saying that the boys said Heather was mean. Oh my God. I can't tell you like how far back in my head my eyes rolled when this got brought up because this was such a nothing annoying storyline last season. So the fact that we were starting off with this, I did have a little bit of like, oh God, not again. But the scenario has evolved because Emily's ex nanny reached out to Katie after all of this and said, I've heard the boys talk like this and say things about Heather, and I don't think it's fair that your daughter is getting all the blame for this, and blah, blah, blah. And Katie says, wow, okay. Well, you know what? My daughter is going on this podcast. Why don't you tell them like what you're telling me? And connects her to this podcaster. And it's like, dude, Katie, like, I know you're still relatively new to this game, but I need you to be a little bit smarter.
Oh, Katie, what are we going to do about Katie? Yeah, she is not the sharpest tool in the shed. It, it- I don't even know where to begin. So, first of all, I get where she is coming from when she says she's pissed off at Emily because Emily's like, Mike, don't talk about my kids. My kids are off limits. Meanwhile, Emily dug up all of that shit about Katie's past from her custody issues and, her police records, all of that crap that
Right.
happened in her past. I don't even remember all of the details, but I think that's a little bit of a tit for tat. But the fact that Katie is now connecting this person who reached out to her to a podcast that her daughter's going on to then further the narrative is just sad and pathetic. And it's another thing that I don't like about reality stars when they're thirsty and they try to bring storylines. We said this about Katie last season about the stupid paparazzi photos. Like, what a stupid storyline for you to make all about yourself. Like, and now she's lashing onto this one again. But it does make me laugh that all of this is centered around Heather Dubrow being a bitch. Yet nobody's talking about that anymore. They're digging into the details, but nobody's talking about the fact that Emily just doesn't like Heather, and that's the moral of the
Exactly.
story.
No, you're so right. Like it all comes down to Emily at one point bitching to Shane and saying like, "God, Heather's such a bitch," and then her little boy's overhearing that.
Yeah, like that's all this is about. And
Right.
we've gotten so far gone from that. Like again, it's like the paparazzi photo, like you start with something so small and then make it into this giant thing. It's exhausting. It's a little, I mean, this is only episode 1 and my weave's already exhausted. Like, oof, that's that's not a good look. But
Yeah,
I
we're gonna have to unpack this in therapy.
Oh, just like Tamara. Because let's great transition. Because let's talk about Tamara Judge's therapy scene or psychotherapy. I'm not really sure I know the difference, but okay, here's my revelation. Tamara Judge and Jax Taylor are the same person. They have the same storyline this season, and they are literally like living parallel lives because they what they've done, yes, Jax is on another level, but both shows are trying to paint these people as the victim. They are giving them the victim storylines. They're trying to make us feel bad for them. Tamara's in therapy, crying about, her past and how she has anger issues and that she wants to change and how she has all this past trauma that's affecting how she's acting, but she's changed and she's, making progress forward and she's working on herself. Meanwhile, has she really changed? Absolutely not. Just like Jax Taylor. And it's just, then she has the audacity to say, oh, I don't know if I can, be friends with people. I can't really trust people. I'm afraid that they're going to turn on me. I'm sorry. Did she see any of the episodes from last season? Because that is exactly what she did to Shannon Bedore when Shannon Bedore needed her most. After the DUI, after the John Jansen drama with Alexis, what does Tamara do? Turn on her, leave the Tres Amigas, accuse her of being an alcoholic, and bring her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend slash fiance onto the show.
Right. But Shannon's the bad friend.
Yep. Yep. And Shannon's the person that Tamara can't trust because she's afraid that she's going to turn on her.
Right. I mean, listen, I'm not going to deny that Tamara has trauma in her past. Okay. But it's just not the first time, much like Jax, that we have seen her attempt to, be contrite and say that she wants to change and address like where this anger comes from. Now, I'm never going to fault someone for trying to better themselves and, use therapy to do that. But it is it's just a situation where like you can only make that claim so many times before I'm gonna start, you know, not having as much sympathy for you.
Totally. And then they get diagnosed with something and they start using that as an excuse. Tamara shares, of course, how she got annihilated for sharing that she was on the spectrum and how, she's basically using that as an excuse for her behavior, just like Jax, who was diagnosed with what, God knows what, bipolar disorder or, yeah. So it's just, I get it. These people can have these issues, but there are many people with these issues that are able to control them and actually make progress forward. And these people are not those people. Tamara's not going to be one of those people. So I don't know. She says she feels like she jumped the gun telling everybody she was on the spectrum after her first appointment, which I think she did. But I do have to say one thing. Tamara's new face looks damn good.
I think so too, until she started crying. And
Yeah.
then it started to look a little weird. A little frozen. The eyebrows were a little high.
Nothing moves. Nothing moves. When she has like a resting face, the resting face looks good. But as soon as she tries to make any sort of expression, that's where it kind of goes off a little bit.
That's where we get into trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I mean, it just brings me right back to opening up my Instagram feed and just seeing a green goblin face for days at a time.
Yep. I do have to say. And then I think she's had even more work done. I don't know if you Watch What Happens Live, but her face, it looks, I don't know. She looks great, but it's getting to the point where it's might be a little bit too much. And then she got veneers and wouldn't stop talking about Texas Smile on Instagram. I guess she went to Texas to get her teeth. So there's that interesting fact that we learned. But yeah, I don't know. As much as I dislike her, she does kind of look great for her age.
Yeah, she looks good. And I love like when she goes to meet Emily and Heather for dinner, the first thing Emily says is, "Your face looks good."
Yeah.
I love a friend like that that's just gonna like call it out, like, "Hey, your facelift, like that turned out really nice," and all that CO2 peel that whatever you did. Um, so yeah, I guess it was all worth it. But okay, so let's get into that. Of course, they're going to talk about Katie, and they're going to, talk about how like she kind of has a history of lying, and now she's getting involved with the content creators, the bloggers, the podcasters. And I have to say, that is such a big theme of this entire first episode was the housewives' involvement on social media, but specifically with talking and DMing with these creators and bloggers and podcasters, like is really getting them into trouble. We saw something very similar on Salt Lake City last season. So just the fact that like it's becoming part of the storyline and really like fueling that engine is just a fascinating shift that I don't think anyone would have predicted 19 years ago when this show started.
Yeah, it's a little scary for us content creators. Well, because I gotta say, so the content creator in question is the Bravo Babe. I've been following her for a while, but I don't know if you saw, she dropped some receipts about Katie. So it all ties back to this story about Tamra allegedly like running these like fake burner troll accounts on Instagram, right? Kind of like a what was Jax's burner account name?
Oh my God, what was it? Oh, it's totally Frank
Frank Drummond.
Yeah.
It's Frank Drummond. Once again, the parallels between Jax and Tamra. That's going to be a pattern this season. Just you wait. So Tamra's Frank Drummond accounts allegedly came out. She's denying it, but that was a story. I guess this blogger had reported that, Tamra had these troll accounts that she was using, da 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 da. To which I also reported that story when it happened, I think, 6 months ago. Tamara then chooses to threaten legal action against this blogger for saying these things. And then I guess Katie and this blogger, the Bravo Babe, have some sort of relationship or have spoken online before, because the Bravo Babe drops a screenshot of them DMing about the Tamara situation, and Katie basically consoling her. There is a screenshot of, which we'll get to at the end, of an audio call between them of the Bravo Babe basically venting to Katie about the Tamara situation. Katie being like, oh, it's going to be okay. An audio call on Instagram. And then, and that's that. So that's what all of this second blogger story is about.
Yeah. And when we get to the end, when they're at the Golden Door and everyone's just saying, Katie, if you didn't do this, then just show us that you didn't do this. And Katie, I don't have any service. I'm SOS, guys. Like, I don't know what to do. Meanwhile, after she left lunch with, was it Gina or coffee or whatever?
I let Emily.
Gina and Emily. Yeah. Sometimes I can't keep track of who's talking to who. But after she left that, she says, well, I'm for sure going to go and look it up. And it's like, well, why can't you just pull it up now? And then at the second opportunity, she still, I haven't had a chance to look into that yet, but I will. I don't have service right now, but I will get to that. And it's like, Katie, let's be honest here.
Let's be honest. And she says,
you're not getting to it because you don't want to show it.
Well, and she's like, I don't know this person's first name. I also don't have their phone number. And those two facts, maybe could be true because it was an Instagram audio call, not an actual phone call. But
right.
we're mincing details right now.
Totally.
It's all the same.
That seems to be a little pattern with Katie, where that even Jen brought up. And Jen says, sometimes she'll say things like, oh, no, I didn't go out to eat that night. And it's like, it turns out, well, she went to get takeout, but she didn't actually eat at the restaurant. So Katie kind of has a little pattern, and that was just an example I made up, but Katie has a little pattern to kind of focus in on the very minute technicalities and kind of tries to get away with things that way. But exactly, you don't have to have someone's phone number or first name. But didn't she say she went to her birthday party?
Yeah, she was like, somebody, was it Gina that said or somebody said, oh, Katie doesn't talk to bloggers because she actually considers them her friends and goes to their birthday parties. So that's a little bit of a red flag, even though, look, we're all Bravo fans. If a housewife wanted to be friends with me, I would certainly be friends with them. But I would very much tread lightly because I do not want to be involved in this sort of mess. Then we find out that Emily has hired an attorney to sue the ex-nanny that came out about her. Again, this is all a mess. But I do have a question. Why would Emily have to hire an attorney? Aren't her and Shane both attorneys?
So they are, but, every attorney specializes in certain things. And so I forget what kind of attorney she actually is. I don't know what Shane does, but criminal law is very different. And there's even specialties amongst criminal law. So I don't think that's weird that, if there's something outside their area of expertise, they're going to seek professional, a person who specializes in that. I didn't think that was weird.
Okay, fair. But yeah, again, with this whole blogger thing, it's we are digging, the whole story is about Tamara allegedly having these fake social media accounts. But what we're focusing on is the fact that Katie called this blogger to console her about Tamara threatening legal action. We are really digging into the weeds here.
Yeah. Right. And that's where I'm just thinking, Katie, why are you getting involved unnecessarily? She's making it harder for herself by inserting herself into this drama with these bloggers when, I'm sorry, but we all know that Tamara 100% did have fake accounts. Of course she did. I'm sure they all do. So
You better be
Like
careful
that.
what you say.
Oh God.
Tamara's coming.
Oh no. Okay, wait. Retract. I'm sorry.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly has to. I just wouldn't be surprised.
Leah,
I think
it's a
a lot of them
finsta.
do.
Doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't every celebrity have a finsta? I don't know. I mean, Frank Drebin, perfect example. So
Yeah. Like, I guess I just don't see why it's a big deal.
it's again, we're making a big deal out of something very small. Um, I hope that we skate over this whole blogger stuff. I want to get into the Tamara Shannon drama again, because according to Watch What Happens Live, Shannon and Tamara are still not on good terms. We've got Gretchen coming into the mix soon, which I am very excited about. Yeah, I don't really care about this stuff. I I'm interested to see where Jen and Tamara's friendship also goes because of course they are not on good terms right now. So I don't know. It does seem like everybody's treading lightly with Tamara at this point because of Teddy though, which
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're all human. I think that's a nice gesture to not, lash out on Tamara at this moment. So
Yeah. And I think that we'll see Tamara's mindset kind of shift throughout the episode or the season because as we all know, like there's some sort of blow up that happens when they're in New Orleans and Tamara kind of walks off and she made some announcement like I'm leaving the show, like there's more important shit going on in my life. And like, yeah, there is someone dealing with brain cancer who is a very close friend of yours. Like that is serious and that will put things into perspective and say like, why am I spending my time arguing with these women about like a fake Instagram account? It's just not important. So, I think like yes, she deserves a little bit of grace on that front.
I agree. And I don't know if you know, but Katie does not end up attending the final cast trip of the season. Everybody goes to Amsterdam and Katie does not join them. So that tells me a lot about how this season progresses. I I don't know what else is going to come out about Katie, but it's not looking good for her.
I was surprised to see her back, if I'm being honest. But and now it seems like, she has some allies in Shannon and Jen, but we saw in the preview for the season that her and Shannon that doesn't last.
Well, yeah, and Jen called her a con artist, so
Right.
I wonder how that will progress as well. But we're in for a season, guys. I'm excited. The Valley, I think, is almost over. The finale's got to be coming up soon, but OC is just beginning. So we will be here every week to cover, what's going on Bravo.
Yes, thank you so much for watching and listening. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow Bravo Breaking News on Instagram, and follow me at Lisa Not Rinna.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.